morning everyone. Today I'm actually heading on over to LA because I'm going to be spending some time with Jasmine and Joyce. I'm going to use my Innisfree green tea balancing lotion and I'm just going to put this onto my face. Then I'm going to put on my aloe soothing sun cream. So today I wanted to talk about the topic of insecurity because I feel like insecurity is something that everybody struggles with and everybody has, and I think insecurity manifests in very different ways for a lot of people, and I wanted to just share with you guys my insecurities and kind of how I got over my insecurities. After I put on my sunscreen, I'm going to put on some primer. This is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, and I literally little dab and I put this on my nose. Ever since I was young, I was extremely insecure, and I think the main thing I was really insecure about was my looks. I'm going to use the Sun Perfect Tip Concealer. This is in 2 and 1.5, and I like to just mix these together. I used to be very insecure about my looks. I'm not really sure like when it started, but I would say maybe in high school. I just remember I would like look in the mirror and I always thought I was never pretty. I always compare myself to the people around me. I remember I had one specific friend where I really felt so much competition with her. She's still one of my closest friends, but I had a lot of competition with her because I think we grew up together and we were always compared with one another. Always asked by people like, who do you like better? Who do you think's prettier? And I just feel like that's kind of where my insecurity started. For me, I felt like I was never good enough. Another thing I was very insecure about was actually when it came to like relationships. So this is like a different topic in and of itself. But when I was in high school, I dated this boy. He used to treat me really well in the beginning, and then later as our relationship developed, he started treating me very poorly. Like made me feel basically worthless, made me feel like I wasn't good enough. Looked at myself and said like, why am I not good enough anymore? Did something change? So I think that made me always question if I would ever be good enough for somebody else. I got into a different relationship. Would he treat me the same? Like, would the boy like me at first, and then later as time grew and he got to know me, like maybe he doesn't like me anymore. So I put a lot of blame onto myself. I think whenever I dated, I always thought, am I good enough for them? It was never, are they good enough for me? I would say definitely that because of that relationship, I felt inadequate, and I thought maybe it's because I'm not pretty enough, maybe it's because he got to know me and he found out like I'm not as fun, or maybe he thinks I'm boring. And so a lot of it was what's wrong with me and how can I fix that. But you know, as I got older, I realized none of that is true. You are fine the way you are, and it's just that you guys weren't a match and it just didn't work out. It's not anything with you messed up or you have to change. Things just didn't work out that way. And it's okay. So I think for me, one thing about my insecurity was I always tried to find the answers to like why did things happen like this? Why do I look like this? I just used to dwell on that. And I had so much of my worth and base of who I was and my confidence in the fact and idea of what other people thought of me. Until I got older and until I learned your worth and who you are as a person is not defined by what society sees in you and the outer shell of how you look. You can't love other people unless you learn to love yourself first. And I know that sounds so cliche, and I know like it's like, what does that mean? If you are not okay with who you are and where you are, it's very hard for you to be a good friend or to be in a relationship with someone and expect them to fill that void for you. I really do believe that's why people say that when you get into like a relationship, it's not two halves making one whole, but it's two complete wholes coming together and building a relationship with one another. That's also very true in like friendships. Learning to love yourself and learning to see the good things in you. Instead of just dwelling on that negative, also dwell on the things that you're good at, things that other people may not have. I think it's always healthy to try to see the qualities that God gave you that make you you. You are unique, and no one can replace that. Anyways, I'm going to be using this palette. I'm using this color up here. This is like a very muted brown. For me, it took a lot of time. I think even in college, I was super insecure. And it wasn't until after college, I think number one, I started realizing no one cares. Not that I'm saying like no one cares, like your family, your friends don't care about you, but I'm saying people don't care as much as you think because everyone's just so busy looking out for themselves. So why should you care so much and put your worth and value on other people? That obviously changes so often. I think for me that really helped me put myself into perspective and tried to put me into the mentality of, hey Grace, like don't take yourself too seriously, like love yourself for what God has given you and just work with it. I think the way that you view yourself definitely shows by the way you interact with other people. When I was in college, when I was in high school, but mostly in college I guess, I think I was very people-based. So I cared a lot about what people thought about me. I wanted to look a certain way. But you know, now I'm kind of like, none of that matters. What really matters is that you are being a light to the people around you and you're being someone that people like being around. Using this ColourPop, you had me at hello, I'm using this gold shimmery shade. If you're always in your head, try to change your perspective. Maybe it's not as bad and you're not as bad as you think. Also, here's another thing. I know a lot of people put blame on themselves whenever something happens. It's okay to say like, oh, I messed up or I should have done this differently. But I didn't. So I have to work with what I did and what has happened, and I have to move forward from it. Don't dwell in the past and don't keep thinking about the what ifs or I could have done this and if only I said this would have been different. Because chances are, even if you went back in time and you could have had the chance to change it, pretty sure it would have been the same. Finding what you're insecure about and finding how you can fix it, how you can try to let it go. One of my biggest insecurities is I don't think I'm very good at articulating my words. Like, I have a lot of thoughts, but I feel like when I like say it, it doesn't come out the way that I wanted it to. I'm like in a group setting. I don't really want to talk because I'm afraid I might like mess up, or I'm afraid that I might say something that's not smart or not on par to what they're talking about. That's an insecurity that I have, and it's definitely something that I'm trying to work on. Even when I'm talking to the camera, I'm always afraid and worried that I'll say something that's like not grammatically correct, or I'll pronounce a word that's wrong, or I will say something that makes absolutely no sense. So that's still an insecurity that I'm struggling with. And I'm gonna use this Heroin waterproof mascara. I think it's really important for people to try to learn to love themselves and value themselves. No one else will do that for you. Have you guys watched that movie, I Feel Pretty? I don't think the movie was great, but I think the message was great. Because basically it's about a girl who is not the social standard of beauty, and she feels very insecure about herself, has a very timid and shy personality, and then one day she hits her head and she looks into the mirror and she looks exactly the same, but in her head she thinks she looks so beautiful, but to everyone else nothing has changed about her. And because of that, she gained so much confidence. She learned to love herself, learned to be okay with her body, and because of that, it attracted so many more people towards her. Which I think just goes to show, if you love yourself and you're able to take your insecurities, take your flaws, and just make that your strength, I think that is what people get drawn towards. There's a lot of reasons why people are the way that they are, so I think it's very important to try to understand and be kind to others, and just know that everyone's story, everyone's background is just completely different. At the end of the day, it's up to you to change that, not anybody else's. If you feel like $1,000,000 and you tell yourself you are $1,000,000, I guarantee you your attitude and the way that you portray yourself will start demonstrating that. I just blabbed for like 30 minutes. I'm gonna change and do my hair, and then I will be right back. Alright guys, so I'm finished getting ready. Please let me know what other topics you guys would want to talk about, or if you guys have any questions. I would love to do my best to try to make more videos where I can sit down and just try to talk, I guess, to try to make me more articulate in the way I speak. But yeah, if you guys have any other topic, feel free to shoot them down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!